Welcome to our video. This is my November reading wrap-up. This is my co-host Tito. My name is Riley. If you like these types of videos, we'd so appreciate for you to subscribe and join us here. So a couple things I want to wrap up from my last video. I mentioned I would be talking about my TBR and wrap-ups in one video, but I have decided that this month specifically, since December is so busy for us, I will not be really having a TBR for this month. I will say I'm still reading the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. Haven't really touched it, but I'm 50% through. And then I'm also reading The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. That one I may DNF because it just isn't capturing my attention at all. And I know it does have a bit of a slow build-up, but it's unbearably slow. Another thing I want to discuss is that I will not be doing weekly reading vlogs, which I started and then stopped, and I will explain why. It's basically because of a very large book I've read, and it would have been just 2 weeks of me talking about the book and just showing the book, and it just isn't fun. And the third thing is that I've started using Storygraph. So that is kind of exciting because I can see some metrics, and I will be putting the stats up here. I think I took a screen capture so you could see my November 2020. So I read 4 books, 1,798 pages. So the moods I read, half of my books were emotional, reflective, tense, and sad. So I kind of had a moody month, it sounds like. The pacing of the books, 1 was slow, and then 3 were medium, so nothing really fast-paced, which I will discuss. And then I read 1 book over 500 pages, 1 book under 300 pages, and 2 books between 300 and 499 pages, all fiction. Genres: romance, contemporary sci-fi, history, and fantasy. Obviously some of those fit in multiple categories. I do want to touch on one of the books I read. Storygraph for some reason did not have the book, so I substituted another book in the series for that book, which seems like it's a pretty similar pacing, similar read. Okay, so just diving in, the first book I read this month is It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover, and this I gave a 4-star on Goodreads, which I'm also still using. This book was labeled as a romance, and everyone always says you have to read Colleen Hoover if you like romance, so I don't know what to say about this. I am still not sure how I feel about this. It was not what I anticipated. It was much more than a romance. It was a social commentary. I mean, this was something else. So basically this has to do with a woman named Lily, and she basically meets a man one night after her dad passes, and trigger warning, there is abuse in this novel. So it goes back and forth, so there's dual timelines. There's diary entries about her first love named Atlas, and then the current man, Riley, which I think it's Riley, but I'm not really sure because it's spelled R-Y-L-E, which sounds like Ryle, but I'm pretty sure it's Riley. I'm pretty sure it's Riley. So it's basically telling the story of Riley and Lily, and then flashbacks to Lily's past relationship. I will definitely read Colleen Hoover again. I don't know how to process this. Like I said, there's a lot of abuse in this novel. Colleen Hoover's way of writing is very interesting. I really felt, I felt when the abuse happened, I could almost feel it happening to me, which is obviously, you know, the mark of a great writer. I think because I thought this was a real love, like a real contemporary romance, I just am still not sure how to process this. So, very good. I have Verity on hold at my library, but I think I'm like number 14 in line or something crazy like that. And the next book I read, I don't have with me. It was Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas, and I think I rated this like a 2-star on Goodreads. I gave it a 3, I think out of pity, but I think I might lower it to a 2. It was not good. So this was an age gap romance. I don't remember the main characters' names. The main character moves into her boyfriend's dad's house, obviously with the boyfriend, because they get kicked out. I forget if they get kicked out or they can't afford the rent at their current apartment. So they move into the dad's house. The dad does pretty well for himself, and there's like instant chemistry between the main character and the father, and they have previously met before. And then at some point the boyfriend disappears, and that's about as succinct as you're going to get from me right now, because I barely remember it and I didn't really care about it. It was so slow. It was painfully slow, and the sex scenes were not good. The word nub was used far too often, and it freaked me out and disgusted me a little. So I don't know why I didn't DNF it, but like, oof, it was not good. On to the next one, which was this little guy. This is Claiming the Rancher's Heir by Maisie Yates, and this and I think The Kiss Quotient, which is the next book I read this month, were in my reading vlogs. But this was just a short little Harlequin. I think it was under 200 pages. It was a little, just over 200. And this is about two winery owners, Wren and Creed. Basically, they're both very wealthy. This is in the Harlequin Desire line, which I believe lives of like rich people. And they have sex one time and she ends up pregnant. And I would not have chosen this if I knew that it had to do anything with babies, which if I should have read the name of it. I actually got this to do a reading Harlequins vlog, which I bought 2 others, which you may have seen in that video. And then there's another video going up where I'm going to put this in a haul, but I have decided to scrap that because I really wanted to read this, and I needed a couple books that were short and easy to kind of pad out my year, because I am very close to hitting my goal. So this was basically them fighting over what's going to happen with their future and the baby, and he forces them to get married. It just seems so bizarre and outlandish. I gave it a 3 on Goodreads. It's just bizarre, outlandish. I didn't love this. I thought it was weird. I probably would not read this author again. I thought it was very dull and a little simple. I did like the growth that Wren goes through in the novel, but that's about the only good thing. Next book I read, as I said, was The Kiss Quotient by Helen Hoang, and I gave this a 4-star, and this is about a woman who is autistic named Stella, and she has a great job, but between pressure from her parents and kind of some guy at work, she decides she wants to hire a male escort to be good at sex. And so, you know, things ensue with the male escort. She's learning, but she's very freaked out. Then she kind of changes their relationship and says, I actually want you to teach me how to be a good girlfriend. Since she has autism, she doesn't react to social situations in a way that she thinks a lot of people will understand. So he's really trying to help her out, but also falling in love with her. So it's a whole thing, and I don't want to go too much into it because it's not a long book, and I don't want to spoil anything since it is short. I thought this was very cute. I didn't think it was great. I thought the sex scenes were mediocre, but I did like it, and I really liked Michael, who is the male escort, I think. Yes. He sounds very attractive. The dog is on the tripod. So I really like this. 4 out of 5. Really enjoyed it. It was very cute. And the last book I read this month, which I gave a 5 out of 5, is 11/22/63 by Stephen King. And this is why the reading vlogs at the end of November would have been terrible, because I was reading and listening to this the whole time, and I just can't imagine that that would have been fun to hear me talk about little bits and pieces for 2 weeks of a book. So this, I don't even know where to start with this. I'm still digesting it. I finished it a few days ago. This is December 1st that I'm filming this. And wow, this is incredible. This is about a man, I mean, I feel like everyone knows what this is about now. You're either interested or you're not. This is about a man named Jake who goes back in history to try to prevent the assassination of JFK. He goes through like a time portal, so it's some historical fiction and sci-fi, and In the vast majority of this novel, probably the big chunk of the middle, it's literally just him living. And I heard a lot of people hate that. I loved it. I actually don't really think I love historical fiction, but maybe I do. Also, is it getting very dark in here because the sun is setting? It might be. I didn't think I loved historical fiction, but I think I do. And I think I want to read more historical fiction. I have some over here if you can see. Maybe you can't. I don't know. There's like 2 big stacks of books that I've been hoarding. So I loved the life that Jake made for himself. I loved the love story in it, and then I loved kind of what happened at the end, like how it's wrapped up. I am very picky about how stories are neatly wrapped up. I would say all of the other books I've read this month wrap up a little neatly, and this does too, but it wraps up in a different way. It's not quite as neat, and it's very much realistic given the sci-fi nature of this novel. I started watching the show because I wanted to just see the similarities, and there aren't many. So yeah, I think this was fantastic, worth the read. I've been telling everyone how much I love this. I didn't think I was going to be able to get through it before I had to return it to the library, which is like in 2 days, but luckily between reading and Libro FM, I got through it, and it was also a great audiobook. I really loved this on audio. So that's the conclusion of my my November wrap up, and I guess December TBR technically. I have some exciting videos planned. I have some book superlatives planned of what I've read this year. So most disappointing, best romance that I've read this year, most surprising, all of that. And then I'm going to do a tier list of the books I've read this year, so that'll be exciting. I think those are fun ideas. And then what else? Then I have a book haul, like I mentioned. It's a mostly used book haul, so very low cost. And I think I would really like to do just a walkthrough of the books that I am interested in reading in 2020 and what I think will be a 5-star book for me. And I think that's really it that I have planned for December. I think that's probably, they're all pretty lofty goals, so we'll see. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe. Bye.